No one gives a hoot that it's your birthday. My sister messaged me, so I locked down the $3,500 monthly account and let them plead with the landlord for leniency. My name's Zephyr. I'm 28, and I've never been one to make a fuss about my birthday, not since childhood, at least. Maybe it's because I figured out early that my family didn't truly care. They'd forget, or toss out a casual happy birthday if I was lucky. Sometimes, they didn't even bother with that. But this year felt different, not because I had any hopes, but because I'd finally decided to stop acting like their behavior was acceptable. For years I'd been the one keeping things afloat, paying bills, covering gaps, ensuring we all had a place to live. I never grumbled or asked for anything back. I did it because they were family, and that's what you do, isn't it? My mom struggled after my dad left, I get that, and my youngest sister Selene, 23, who still acts like the world owes her everything, has a pattern of starting things and abandoning them soon after. She still lived with Mom in the townhouse I'd bought. For them, neither of them put in much effort. Mom picked up occasional remote work, and Selene did some graphic design gigs. But every month I covered the bills, bought groceries, and even paid for their streaming subscriptions. I set up a joint account where I'd deposit money so they wouldn't need to ask. It made life easier for them. It made things harder for me, but I managed until last week. My birthday fell on a Thursday. I wasn't expecting a parade, but a text, a call, or even a silly meme in the family group chat would have been nice. Instead, I woke to nothing. While drinking my coffee, I checked notifications and saw the group chat was active, but not for me. Selene had shared a photo of herself at a downtown cafe captioning it, "Self-care day with my bestie me." A few friends reacted. I brushed it off. By noon, I checked again. Still nothing. Not one happy birthday. I tried to shrug it off, especially since work calls kept me busy all day. Around 4 p.m., Selene posted in the chat, "Quit acting like anyone cares, it's your birthday," and my mom gave it a thumbs up. I stared at the screen for a full minute, thinking it was a prank. But there was no punchline, no inside joke. Just that, no just kidding, no follow-up, just silence. I didn't reply. I didn't get mad. I wasn't even shocked, just numb and oddly at peace. My fingers tapped on my ceramic mug and it hit me. I'd made life too easy for them. They didn't just take me for granted, they genuinely believed they were entitled to everything I gave. And they didn't see me, not as family, not even as a person. I was a resource, an ATM with no feelings, no limits, and definitely no birthday. Stood, grabbed my jacket, and drove straight to the bank. It was quiet inside. Yara, the branch manager, recognized me because I'd helped her son land an internship last year. She never forgot that. I told her what I needed: freeze the card, remove my name from the joint account, and flag all future transactions for approval. She nodded, asked a few questions, and walked me through it, one steady step at a time. An hour later, I left with a folder of documents and a strange calm in my chest. Not relief exactly, but clarity. It was like I'd finally stopped playing a game I never signed up for. Back home, I didn't text them, warn them, or drop hints. I ordered sushi, put on a movie I'd been meaning to watch, and sank into my couch in silence. At 11:42 p.m., Selene sent a group chat message. "Zeph, why's the card declining?" Mom chimed in. "Mine too. Is the app down?" Then again. "I just tried at Kroger and it's not working like at all." I stayed silent, closed the app, and went to bed. The next morning started normally until it didn't. My phone showed 10 missed calls from Mom. Selene left 5 voicemails. Texts stacked up like junk mail. "Zeph, what's going on? Did you change something? Call me back. Are we locked out of the account? Why's the landlord here?" I blinked, scrolling slowly. The landlord had shown up at their place that morning to ask about rent because the autopay failed. I'd cancelled that, too. Same with the utilities, water, and internet. I hadn't told them, but I was transferring the lease into my name alone. I didn't want them in my house anymore. I'd even consulted a lawyer about how to legally evict family if they wouldn't leave. It wasn't about revenge, it was about boundaries, peace, and finally saying, enough. But I didn't reply that day. Instead, I went to work, answered emails, chatted lightly with co-workers who did remember my birthday, bless them, and let calls from Selene and Mom go to voicemail. By evening, their texts shifted to, "Are you okay? Please tell us what's happening." But I wasn't rushing to explain. For once, they were the ones in the dark. For once, they were scrambling. That weekend, my cousin Sarah texted me she's the only family member who's ever made an effort to stay close. She said Selene posted something vague and passive-aggressive on Instagram. Crazy how people switch up when you depend on them, with Mom commenting a sad face emoji. Sarah asked if I was okay. I told her I was fine, that I'd finally set a boundary. She replied, "Good. Honestly, they've treated you terribly for years. You don't deserve that." It shouldn't have meant so much, but it did. That wasn't the end, though. Monday morning, there was a knock at my apartment door. Not a delivery. Selene, hood up, eyes puffy, arms crossed. "Can we talk?" she asked. For a moment, I thought about letting her in, but then I remembered her text, the thumbs up, the groceries I'd paid for, the bills I'd covered, and years of being invisible unless they needed something. So I stepped outside, closing the door behind me. She shifted awkwardly. You froze everything. I nodded. Yeah, why? I didn't answer right away. I just looked at her, really looked, and saw the same entitlement, the same arrogance, but fraying at the edges. She huffed. Look, if this is about that stupid text, I cut her off. Don't, I said, calm but firm. Don't call it stupid. Don't act like it was a joke. You meant it. Selene rolled her eyes. But there was a flicker of doubt behind them. Come on, Zeph. It was just a thing, a comment. I say stuff like that all the time, and that's the problem, I said. You say stuff like that all the time. You act like nothing matters, like no one else has feelings. You and Mum both. You've treated me like I'm a ghost in this family unless you need something: money, groceries, rent, whatever. But the second I need something, even just basic, respect, you make me feel like I'm asking too much. She scoffed. You're not asking too much. No, I said, my voice rising. Then what am I? Because I wasn't a brother. Not when you and Mom mocked me in the group chat. Not when you used my card for your self-care days. Or when Mom charged her meds to my account without asking. Not when I paid off your credit card debt last year just to keep your score from tanking. Her face twisted. I didn't ask you to do that. I gave a bitter laugh. That's your excuse, huh? I didn't ask. Like that makes it okay. Like ignoring my birthday was fine because you didn't ask me to care about yours either. It doesn't work that way. She hugged her arms, tighter, staring at the ground. Okay, so what now? You just cut us off. I looked at her, feeling no guilt for the first time. I'm not cutting you off, I said. I'm giving you the life you wanted so badly without me in it. You didn't want a brother, you wanted a bankroll. Her eyes widened, but I didn't stop. I tried for years to be enough, to be useful, to be wanted. All I got was sarcasm, silence, and a never-ending list of demands. I don't want an apology. I don't want a hug. I want space. So you're evicting us, she snapped. You're really throwing us out. The lease was always in my name, I said. I'm just not renewing it with you as tenants. You've got 30 days. I'll even pay for the moving truck if you don't make a scene. She blinked, stunned. You're serious? Dead serious. There was a long pause. Then she tried another tack. Mom's not doing well. You know she's stressed. She says things she doesn't mean. I exhaled sharply. You want to talk about stress? Try being the guy who hears his own mom call him emotionally distant because he stopped handing out blank checks. I'm not, Mom, Selene muttered. No, I agreed. You're not, but you're not far off. She flinched like I'd slapped her. I'm sorry, she said finally, and I think she meant it. I really am. I didn't think it mattered. I didn't think you cared. That cut deeper than anything. Of course I cared, I said. That's why I stuck around this long. I turned the doorknob behind me. I'm not asking you to change, I said. I'm just not waiting round for it anymore. She stood there, lips parted, no words coming. I didn't expect her to plead or cry. Selene's not built that way. She's good at brushing things off, acting like the world owes her nothing until it does. Then she panics. As I stepped inside, I paused. By the way, I said without turning, I canceled the family phone plan, too. You might want to check on that. Then I shut the door. For the next hour, I stood in my kitchen, leaning against the counter, breathing. My hands shook slightly, not from fear, but from adrenaline. I was finally free. The silence in the room felt different now, less hollow, more earned. But the fallout wasn't over. That evening, I got a call from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail, but the transcript popped up. Zephyr, it's Mom. I don't know what's happening, but this is cruel. I've always been there for you. You don't do this to family. You don't just walk away. Please call me. We can talk. I didn't call back. A few hours later, an email arrived from Mom's lawyer. I didn't open it right away. I stared at the subject line, urgent, property ownership dispute, action requested, and left it in my inbox for a bit. Maybe I was giving myself time to think. Maybe I expected to feel anger, fear, or regret. But none came, just a cold, steady resolve that told me I was done playing the role they'd cast me in. When I finally opened it, the email was formal, with polite legal jargon that barely hid the desperation. The lawyer, Callum Ver, said Mom was challenging the recent changes to the property title and believed the townhouse should be considered a family asset, not my personal property. He requested a meeting for an amicable resolution. I almost laughed. Amicable? I didn't reply right away. Instead, I pulled out the folder Yara had helped me compile at the bank account statements, the original deed, lease agreements, and the transfer to my LLC. Everything was signed, notarized, and time-stamped. I even had an email thread from 2 years ago when Mom signed the lease paperwork and agreed to be a tenant. She brushed it off then, laughing. Just paperwork for your taxes, right? I nodded. I never thought I'd need it. Now I'm glad. I kept it still. I didn't want this to get ugly. A small voice inside said, don't destroy everything, just walk away. But I was learning that walking away looked like betrayal to them. To them, love only counted if it cost me something. 2 days later, I sent a short reply to the lawyer. Dear Mr. Ver, thank you for your message. The property is legally held by LLC name, and full documentation is available upon request. Please note the lease agreement signed on date remains in effect. Clause 9A states the property owner may choose not to renew the lease upon expiration. No contract has been breached. I respectfully decline a meeting at this time. Sincerely, Zephyr Carter. Within 20 minutes I got a reply saying they'd review the documents and advise their client. They didn't expect me to push back. Later that night, I saw another Instagram story from Selene, a black screen with white text. Crazy how family can ice you out like a stranger over one comment. We never stood a chance. I didn't react. The next morning my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Mom. She looked older, smaller, in a raincoat despite clear skies. When I opened the door, she didn't speak at first, just scanned my face, maybe searching for something familiar, something soft. I raised you better than this, she said finally. Did you? I asked. She blinked, clearly thrown by my response. Her tone shifted, less accusatory, more hurt. Zephyr, we were a family. We are a family. Families say things they don't mean, they fight, but they don't cut each other off over birthday texts. I leaned against the doorframe. This isn't about one text, Mom. It's about every time I was only good enough when I was paying for something. It's about years of you acting like I didn't exist unless I was useful. Do you even know where I work, what I do, what I care about? She didn't answer. I went on. Selene needs a new phone. I pay for it. You need a dentist. I book it, cover the bill. Car breaks down. I handle it. Did you ever say thank you? Did either of you ask how I was doing? Her face tightened. You never asked for help, Zephyr. You made it look like you had everything under control. No, I said. I made it look easy because you made it impossible to ask every time I was honest. You made me feel guilty. Selfish, like I was picking a fight. I stayed quiet for years, hoping things would change. They didn't, and I finally realized they won't. She looked away. I know things were tough after your dad left, she said, but that doesn't excuse turning me into your safety net. You didn't raise me to be better, you raised me to be useful. There's a difference. She was silent for a long time then. So that's it. You're done with us. I paused. No, I said. I'm done letting you treat me like I owe you for existing. You can still be in my life if you respect my boundaries. If you stop using me, if you treat me like a person, not a paycheck. She opened her mouth, but I cut her off. And if you want to stay in that townhouse, sign a new lease, pay rent, no games, no guilt, just responsibility, like everyone else. Her face shifted, shock, anger, maybe shame, but she didn't shout or cry. She nodded once, sharply, like swallowing something bitter, and turned to walk down the hall. I didn't call after her that night. Selene texted, so what now? You want us to act like everything's fine and pay like strangers? I stared at the message, thinking how to respond. But before I could, another notification hit. Not from Selene or Mum, it was the townhouse's property manager. The thermostat had been set to 92 degrees. Then another alert. The kitchen faucet was left running. A third. The back door's security camera was disabled. I stood, heart racing, jaw tight. They weren't going quietly, and I didn't know how far they'd go. I didn't sleep that night. The property manager app kept pinging, lights flicking, on and off at odd hours. A smoke alarm accidentally triggered. The garage door left open for hours. They were trying to shake me, maybe send a message. It was petty, passive-aggressive sabotage, but I saw it coming. Selene and Mom hated being told no, especially by me, especially when it meant consequences. At 2:14 a.m., the security company called. A water sensor in the basement had tripped. I had them shut off the main valve remotely and sent a technician. He confirmed it an hour later. The utility sink was left running and clogged, causing a deliberate overflow. I sat in my apartment, staring at the ceiling fan spinning in slow, useless circles. This wasn't just spite, it was a tantrum, a desperate, childish bid to guilt me back into their control. If obligation wouldn't work, they'd try chaos. By morning, I had a plan. I drove to the townhouse unannounced, parked 2 blocks away, and walked the rest. The neighborhood was quiet. The house looked normal, except for trash bags piled by the garage door, like they'd deliberately dumped everything outside instead of using the bins. Classic. I let myself in with my key. The heat hit me immediately. The thermostat was still at 92, as the alert said. The air was thick. I moved through the house quietly. The fridge was open, empty, its shelves smeared with something sticky. A carton of spoiled milk sat on the top rack, leaking. The living room TV blared static at max volume. No one was there. Upstairs, Selene's room was mostly cleared out, just a few old clothes strewn on the floor. Mom's room was half empty, closet bare, drawers pulled out, a bedside lamp tipped over. In the bathroom, red lipstick scrawled across the mirror. I hope it was worth it. I stared at the words, feeling nothing. No anger, no regret, just a strange, serene detachment, like reading a note from a stranger in a story I'd left behind. I spent the next hour documenting everything. I photographed the basement water damage, the trash, the fridge, the mirror, the thermostat, the disabled camera mount. I catalogued it all and sent it to my lawyer with a note. The damage appears intentional. Proceed with legal eviction and damage claims. By noon, they'd been officially served. The paperwork went to Mom's temporary address from a past medical bill she'd asked me to handle in Selene's P.O. box for freelance work. The documents gave them 7 days to respond. If they didn't, it'd go to court. If they did, they'd struggle to explain the evidence of tampering. That night, Selene texted, "Wow, you really want to humiliate us in court? This is so petty." I didn't reply. A few hours later, Mom sent one. "You didn't have to go this far. You wanted this. You wanted to punish us. Well, I hope you're happy." And I was not, for the reasons they thought. I wasn't gloating over their struggle. I wasn't reveling in the damage. I felt free. The week flew by. I handed the issue to my lawyer and stayed out of it. He updated me every few days. Selene tried filing a counterclaim, but it was thrown out. Mom claimed emotional distress, but the judge demanded proof she couldn't provide. The case wrapped up quickly, quietly, probably because they knew I wasn't bluffing and didn't want every screenshot, voicemail, and payment record dragged into court. By month's end, they were gone. The townhouse was back in my name. I hired cleaners, changed the locks, and had the place professionally repaired. The water damage wasn't as bad as I'd feared, but the cleanup still cost about $5,000. I saw it as the price of peace. It's been 6 months now. The house is rented to a young couple who actually say thank you when I fix something. They painted the place themselves, put plants on the balcony, and pay rent on time. I check in every few weeks, and every time I walk through that door, it feels like a weight's been lifted. A mutual friend told me Selene is crashing with some buddies, and Mom's staying with a distant cousin out of state. Apparently they're telling people I snapped and kicked them out over a misunderstanding, that I was never stable. Fine, let them say what they want. I'm not here to fix their version of the story. I'm done living in it. Last month, I celebrated my birthday quietly, simply, peacefully. I took the day off, treated myself to a great dinner, walked by the lake, and turned off my phone. Expectations. No guilt, just space. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for someone to notice me. I noticed myself. That was enough.